Hello and welcome all together. My name is Daniel Putra and I'm the Managing Director of Profida. I've got the honor of introducing Profida to you today. Here are our first things we want to get through. Let's cover who we are. So Profida is a product developed by computer science software. We released the first version in the year 2000. So Profida today, after 20 years of active development and maintenance, is a very stable, well-established platform you can trust, and you will definitely be happy with if it's one of the features you're looking for. So obviously, if you're looking for a car manufacturing software, then this is not going to work. So Profida is ideally suited for life, funeral, medical, and short-term insurance administration. And you might wonder, oh, but that is not only one thing, so it's actually all lines of businesses in the insurance industry. So we achieved this so Profida originates from Germany, and it's all developed in South Africa. So we started redeveloping version 3 here in South Africa 20 years ago. But 25 years ago, we invented a concept which made it possible and still makes it possible that with one product, we can achieve that you can actually administer the whole range of financial services, yet be totally customized and have the feel of as if the software would only be made for this specific sector. So today we want to cover some high-level features. So we're not going to dive in this first session into the actual applications. We're going to do that in the following session. This first is to give you a bit of high-level overview of some of the features Profida offers you. And as this is a recording, please feel free to make a pause when it suits you, also to round back and replay certain areas to gain a deeper understanding or to just re-listen to it. You can also fast forward where we're talking about areas you're not interested at this point in time. So this is also a huge advantage of having a video, and creates more flexibility with your time. You can also watch it obviously at the time when it suits you most. So let's have a look at, or briefly talk about the first bullet point here, policy administration. That's one of the core features of Profida. So we offer here a lot of automated underwriting processes and options. Naturally, everything can be done manually as well. Some examples for the automation is, for example, where based on certain questions or ages of the client or family status or health questions answered on a life or medical product, Profida can actually determine if the underwriting can be accepted the way the state the client is, or if it needs to be referred to manual underwriting, or if, for example, the client needs to be notified and automatically send certain forms, medical checkups to be booked, and so on. So all this can actually be automated. Also, depending on the client's needs, the rating engine can actually determine if there's a loading or an additional discount to be given. So the underwriting process and the rejection process, there's a lot of rules which can be put in place, which then are basically relieving the underwriters from things which Profida can actually do for them. So therefore, they can actually focus on the more exception cases, which Profida would then spit out as a manual underwriting process. And that way, a human mind needs to actually think about that particular cover. So yeah, that also tightly goes together with the integrated, highly customizable and quite high sophisticated rating engine where you can do a lot of things. So it doesn't matter if it's on a short-term side or on a life side, occupational ratings, family statuses, ages, and claims history. It can basically all be considered. We also have an actuarial rating model which can be plugged in. So it's really, there should be nothing what's left out, what to cater your needs. And you can imagine, because we're doing this now since 20 years, actually over 20 years if you count the period in Germany in, then that experience which we bring into the product, you gain from all these previous clients, and which mostly are still our current clients, and all this experience and feedback, what they brought along and what they put into the product, and also our own experience and knowledge which put into the product, that you gain now from all this by actually going for Profida. So there's a huge advantage in this. Okay, so let's go on a little bit here. We have also a highly customizable and very flexible product designer. So it's not a person, so that's a feature, an area within Profida where users, your staff, our staff, can actually create and design and test products. Those products are totally customizable, so they have exactly the same wordings, the same cover names as in your brochures, and policy wordings. So there's a complete branding identity. There's no disconnect. These can even serve as a product manual, as a reference. Staff might leave, taking some knowledge away, and that way within Profida, this knowledge is basically persisted and permanently now there, can be used to look up and see how is actually this done, how is this product designed, what's the breakdown of all the fees and the cost, what's all the cover and the rules, the claim rules on this cover, so all this basically serves as well as a documentation, but also as an active rule enforcement. So as policies are created based on a product, the policy basically, the product works like a blueprint, and which is then basically the policies based on that blueprint and created based on that blueprint, without that the user really needs to know anything about the blueprint details. That all happens seamlessly in the background. All this comes also with integrated claims administration. We believe claims administration should be integrated into the policy administration system and not be separate. First of all, to avoid data duplication. Second of all, if it's totally integrated into the platform, you have a stronger rules enforcement, because the claims module knows exactly the state the policy is in from a collection point of view, as well as from a cover point of view, which cover is active, which cover is not active, as the underwriting and policy administration side is used to issue policy documentation, has endorsements on, and waiting periods and various rules. The claims automatically have the same rules, the same knowledge about what's going on this policy, and therefore can actually help and assist the claims administrator with as much automation and guidance as is possible from a modern policy administration platform. Money collections is obviously and related payments. So the collections is the incoming flow where you use Profida to collect money. Profida is integrated with all major banks and various collection bureaus. We'll dive into all the further details in the various detailed sessions which we're going to have after this one, and you're welcome to watch these as well. So and then the payment. So the money is collected, And then the payment center in Profida is used to pay and distribute the money based on relevant fractions. So on the product designer, we have created the breakdowns. So that means the binder fees, the commission, and insurer fee, reinsurance, whatever needs to basically be there as additional splits and costs on this policy. And then the payment center picks this up and actually distributes the money to those parties who need to get this. And so then basically a file is generated in the background, or a web service is executed depending on the bank and on the implementation to actually then process and submit these payments. Yeah, what we can also maybe say about while we're talking about money collections, Profida supports policies with the frequencies monthly, quarterly, biannual, and annually. So those 4 payment frequencies with all their different modes, with the various proratas, if your products are prorata enabled, it's all supported. Related refunds and clawbacks are also all provided out of the box. Yeah. So yeah, what might also be payment methods, maybe that's also something worth mentioning at this point in time. So we support cash, so that's actual notes, EFT, debit orders, and easy pay collections. Then also the more rare collections like payroll and then the bulk collections, the related bulk collections, that would be then bulk EFT and bulk debit order. So where, for example, employers or groups are collected with one big amount containing, for example, 100 or 1,000 policies, and then they are paid over. Or bulk collections are also done by credit intermediaries, which Profida explicitly supports with a special model to make reconciliation and collection of these bulk paid over premiums easier. So credit intermediaries, some call them also borrow payers. They basically broker administrators, for example, who have the authority to collect and also issue policies, maybe even do claims. So for those we have also special recon features available to make that administration easier. Reinsurance collections I mentioned already. So then we have also powerful renewal options. Renewals and premium increases is obviously an important part, and which eventually the premium will need to be increased. So there's options for automated increases, which could be on more on the long-term products. There could be premium freeze periods specified, and on a short-term side, for example, we obviously have the typical annual renewal and policy reviews. So Profida has various options to make this process as easy as possible, and to also pre-plan these kind of options and do them well ahead of time. But they can also be backdated if they have to, because it was not possible to do them in time. Profida has also a very strong CRM integration, so not everybody needs this. So typical UMA would maybe not be necessarily too much interested in it, although for broker communication, the CRM part can also be quite nice, because obviously there's quite a bit of interaction between the brokers and the broker consultant necessary, and or often done, right? So let's right, and obviously if you are a broker, administrator, insurer, or broker collecting money, or an insurer, and need or have direct client communications, then the CRM part plays even a bigger role. Yet for claims notifications, for example, in any case, this is also very, very handy features. CRM is also integrated with lead tracking. New business processes are integrated there, and so yeah, it basically has quite a lot of tracking features and analysis. So we'll go a bit more in detail of that part. Integrated document management, which obviously basically goes through benefits all lines of businesses and all areas, because we all deal with a lot of documents, and the more electronically we can store those, the better it is. Workflow automation, that's these days quite important for saving time. So Profida can automatically handle a lot of process-driven and rules-based communication between your brokers, your clients, and other parties, vendors, for example, basically whoever, assessors and so on. So whoever is involved in your processes, Profida can handle them. We also have an MS Outlook integration where we have basically a plugin which gives you a button, and you can just click that, and then an email automatically goes into Profida, finds the right policy or claim, person or organization, and basically puts that email underneath. Yeah, so we talked a bit about already document management as well, quite important, and tracking of important events like new business and triggering welcome packs to be sent out automatically, reacting to cancellations, sending out automatic cancellation notifications, and also putting maybe the relevant workflows in place for the follow-up team to maybe save the business. If various thresholds like ages or terms of policies or whatever is reached, certain things can also, notifications can be triggered. Policies can also be automatically cancelled if, for example, an EFT policy is not paid for 3 months. So there's lots of rules and settings which can be put in place to make your life and your business life easier, save a lot of time, and that way give you more opportunity to focus on things where which basically generate more income and more business. And that leads us to another really usually time-intensive process, which is completely automated in Profida, is the daily now, and also obviously monthly insurer reporting. So that's completely automated, runs in the background. It runs at night between 2 and 5 o'clock, and just auto-uploads basically these reports to the insurer, so they basically synced with your data. We have also various external data integrations available with third-party systems, so that can be for downloading of values as and when required, for example, vehicle values, other evaluation values, client screening, policy data from Astute or other parties. So there's various integrations. We also have a custom integration which can be used by other third parties to integrate and send Profida. We have clients, they have their own front end on their website where their clients and their brokers basically submit quotes and requests through. These then automatically in the background, without any human involved, go into Profida and trigger their various events, workflows, and basically the process is started that way without any human intervention initially. So yeah, we talked about already that our setups and our philosophy is that everything should be parameterized, because we believe that the software should be adjustable to the business and not the business to the software. So that way you have ultimate flexibility. You can adjust Profida to your needs. Yes, it might require a little bit of thinking how you want things, yet keep in mind we have over 20 years of experience in this field. So Profida out of the box comes already with, depending which area, for each of these areas, we have best practices setups where we deliver Profida out of the box unless you advise us with your own requests. So that gives you a very good starting basis. And also it goes much quicker because you basically have already established workflows, established setups. The products will obviously, you have those probably already designed. So those we would obviously then adjust, and basically our setup we would adjust so to match 100% your products. But the workflows and the general setups and some of the wordings of the reports and stuff, that probably a lot of that can actually be adjusted as and when you go along. But to get faster going, you can use the out-of-the-box settings. Right, so then also what's great is everything is cloud-based, so you can access, and your staff can access Profida from anywhere. It doesn't matter where in the world they are, as well as home, at office, traveling. We also have tablet-based and cell phone recognition, so that Profida adjusts its interface slightly to make mobile users also basically, especially on the road, you want to maybe visit a client and need to quickly look up their details. So that's then also quite easy possible. It's obviously not a mobile application per se because it's a policy administration system, right? So we need bigger screens because we have accounting data, we have issuing of policy schedules, which are usually in an A4 format, although we have actually also created already a cell phone style policy schedule for one of our clients. It just fits onto a cell phone screen, so that was is actually quite interesting what can all be done these days. And so yeah, so there is, we also offer customizations if you have special needs, so that is also possible, although the fully parameterized setup mostly allows you to actually do probably most, if not all things out of the box, just with some clicks and basically tweaking the existing functionalities. Right, so before, let's actually go further a little bit. So we have some housekeeping items. After this slide, we make a small break and then we go into the practical session where we jump into the actual application. So the following presentations, not basically this presentation, but the following presentations, which you hopefully interested enough to also watch. These 7 presentations, is actually more than 7 because these have subsections. These presentations, the first one is an introduction to Profida. So it's about its concepts, layout, navigation, CRM features. Then after you have an idea, how does Profida look like? How does it work? Then we basically go into, so that's also a hands-on session already, which and then we go into the policy administration part. From there we go into the claims administration. Then we look at some reporting, data exchange, so which obviously is, and stats and so on. Then this area covers some other things to know, like we have a third-party login facilities for insurers, brokers, clients, and vendors. There's also other things we talk about. We talk about some pricing and all sorts of things. So that's covered here in point 5. And then in point 6, we have product-specific demonstrations. So these most likely you're not going to watch all. So all these letters, they basically are their own recording and their own section where we go then in detail and say, okay, how does now Profida work for funeral policy? How does Profida work for credit life insurance? How does it work for term and whole life assurance? How do you administer is the gap in medical insurance products. Then what about personal lines and commercial lines, short-term insurance, legal insurance and marine insurance? So those are separate sections. They specialize and they show you exactly how Profida works with these specific products. So here, the section number 2 and 3, they're basically generically getting you an introduction to the features, and then we're not necessarily repeating here in these sections what we actually showed here, but we're building on and basically going into the so these are more generic and basically what's applicable to most policies, and then the real details. So basically point 2 and 3 are more high level, and then point 6 is more the nitty-gritty where we really go into the details here. Okay, then after those, section 7, that's also usually you would not maybe necessarily need section 7. After you covered section 6, you have a fairly good idea how Profida works, what Profida is all about, and how Profida can fit your business. Yet, if you're still interested in further details, we have, so these are more training sessions actually. So those go and they take, for example, like a funeral, a pension fund, a medical policy, short-term policy, they take this in detail from the leads process, often to becoming a prospect, then the policy activation, the quality control, the actual active underwriting process, the activation of the policy, issuing of the policy schedule. So that whole business take-on process is covered in detail in those sessions. Right, so that now was our overview to sort of set the scenes. Now in the next session, we'll go into detail and talk about the all the basics and get you going with a real touch of Profida. So for this session, if you have a login already, you're welcome to follow along the session, and otherwise get the popcorn ready and enjoy the show. Okay, thank you for watching. See you in the next session.